it's not a constant, right? Just like in marriage, it's not a constant. You're going to have highs and lows. It's like a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you got good times, you got down times, and the only time you're in trouble is when you got that straight line, right? But happiness is a choice, and you can choose to be happy and find happiness, and it's individual as we are. But a lot of people think they have to be happy. That's why so many people are on medication, and so many people are, searching for stuff outside of themselves because they think something's wrong with them because they're not living the life that they see on social media.
1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy, har.
Believe it or not,
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
the Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Podcast.
So a lot happens on this podcast that I am not aware of, like the names and the titles and like the chirons. Like I'm kind of a fan of the show as well. I tend to watch them when they're released, but like a lot of the production is out of my hands because I also run a law firm, which is my primary gig. So it's to balance this out and that. And one of our guests came in and she was like, I'm really nervous and I feel like we need to do a lot of preparation. Like, what do you do to prepare for this podcast? And my response was, nothing, just show up.
Just come.
Just show up, have a good time. So today we are with Karith Foster. And I said it right,
You
right?
said it right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So what are all the different, I guess we can get into the different ways that people pronounce your name and how you teach them how to pronounce your name. But so tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am a recovered journalist turned professional comedian because that's where you get to tell the truth.
Recovered addict. I was like, oh, we're going to do that show today. I thought you were a comedian, but okay, we're going to go down a dark path and weave it around.
Yeah, I like to hit them hard as soon as that right out of the gate, Dana. So I'm a recovered journalist turned stand-up comedian and speaker because I realized I wanted the ability to be able to tell the truth and be authentic and real and unite people and bring them together instead of what media typically does.
That's awesome.
The unhappy news, that I like to call it. You know why I don't watch news anymore? Because I like to be happy.
Listen, that is the best way to change how you're feeling. Truly, I could not agree more. Stay informed, but you can't. It's literally if it bleeds, it leads, and the game plan is to keep you addicted and focused on just that, and it tears your soul apart.
Well, that's why we did this show, so it could be positive, entertaining, and upbeat, and you don't have to watch the bad news.
Henceforth,
the reason that Greg and I both left the news business as well.
Yeah.
Because it is absolute poison.
Did you really?
Greg has
edit that out.
Greg has like 30 Emmys.
Wow.
40?
40.
Wow.
And he's got some Murrows, and he's the all-star of...
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Greg doesn't like to be on camera or speak on camera.
Uh-huh.
He's our silent Bob.
I love it. Yes.
And
That's
you know what? I think
say.
we should introduce our new staff member over here. And this is because I call him Andre because he's a giant.
I just entered another one last night.
You what?
I just entered another last night.
You entered another for
He's
an Emmy?
entering more awards, yeah, because
Nice.
he
I
needs
love
more.
it.
Nice.
So this is.
My name is Harvey. I'm 6'7". And people call me Andre around here.
How tall is Shaq?
I don't know, but
Shaq.
he's
7'2"?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
All you know is he's
God.
massive. He's almost 2 of me.
But Andre the Giant would have made Shaq look small.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That dude was a giant. Just
Wow.
absolutely huge.
Wow.
And there's, have you heard of the One Man Gang?
No.
He was a wrestler, and my dad saw him in the airport, and my dad was like, he was a one-man gang.
What
the guy
era was that?
So
was
big.
that was he a Texas wrestler?
This had to be in the 80s maybe or the 90s.
So when Carrie, remember the brothers?
The Von Erichs.
The Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them.
Yeah.
We should get them on the show.
I don't
Talk
think
to
they're
them.
around anymore.
Really?
I don't think they're.
Maybe they passed away
Yeah.
from. Wrestlers don't have a
They don't have long
lifespan.
life expectancies. No.
Just all that damage they do.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's steroids or something.
It's a lot. And
You
they're
know,
not
actually-
treated well. They really aren't. They just started getting like medical care treatment. John Oliver did an episode on his show about what happens really behind the scenes for these wrestlers.
Oh, I had a friend that was a wrestler. He is messed
I'm sure.
up. He is, and he never even really made it big. But he is.
Only a few came out of
life
it, like
messed
The
up.
Rock,
Yeah.
right? John Cena.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan. Actually,
I will not be wrestling.
I know Hulk Hogan's lawyer. I could get him on the show.
Really?
I think we could probably have him one day. I don't know if you'd traveled to Dallas area to film the show. We have eventually, because we keep improving every week, and so one of the things we're doing is building road cases for the staff, so that way we can like close it all up and be done, and just open up and be ready faster.
Came on.
Yeah, every week we make improvements. The sound has improved. Yeah.
So before we started this episode, you were talking to us a little bit about a dolphin and Me Too movement.
We were talking about.
Karith got Me Too'd with a dolphin.
They were like, what? No, so we were talking about like Florida, and I was saying there's a place that you can swim with dolphins and stingrays who've had the stinger removed. And I'm a little hesitant about swimming with dolphins because after my IMUS gig, or right before it ended, and I was just dealing with some PTSD from him, I went to Bali because I'm like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. So I'm either going to Bellevue, the mental hospital in New York City, or to Bali. And I'm like, if I'm spending that kind of money,
I'm gonna go for Bali.
Yeah, I'm going someplace pretty. So I go there for 2 weeks. The first week was part of like a retreat thing. The second week I was just traveling by myself. But I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to swim with dolphins. Like I'm such a water. I'm a Cancerian. Like I love water. I could live in water. If it wasn't for having black woman hair, I would be in swimming every day. But I go to swim with these dolphins, and they were named Jack and John. And it was me and this Italian bird who was there with her boyfriend. And I'm swimming with them, and all of a sudden I keep feeling something hard hit my thigh. And I'm like, what is that? I go, what is hard on a dolphin? And I get out, and I'm like, what? And they like
I'll
pulled
tell you
me
what's
out.
hard on a dolphin.
Well, I found out what was hard on a dolphin. And they had to pull me out, and the other girl too. But they were only after us. They weren't after the guy. So like,
Oh, wow.
they smell pheromones. Dolphins are mammals, right? They're closest to humans,
Yeah.
like their intelligence level, everything. Dolphins have been known to keep concubines of other dolphins, female dolphins.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Dolphins are like, we think, oh, they're all fluffy and not fluffy, obviously they're fish, but not fish, but
Well, that dolphin-
they're fuzzy and warm and like they loving and they just they're the salt of the earth. And dolphins are horny. Dolphins are rude. Dolphins do what they want to do. And
Dana has a
Me
funny
Too'd.
story about rewards for a dolphin.
So my wife went to a place called Chicken Camp. Have you heard of B.F. Skinner?
No.
He's an animal trainer. He's well known for operant conditioning and training of animals. And there's a guy named Bill Bailey who is one of his top students. And Bill Bailey used to train animals for the U.S. military.
Oh.
And they were doing things like guided attacks and things before. And one of the things that he trained animals to do was they trained crows to go steal files out of file cabinets because they have a tough beak.
What?
And they could open the file cabinet door, grab a file, and fly it
Could
back.
they read?
They couldn't read.
Well, how did they know what file they were
They
getting?
just empty the file cabinet back and forth.
Oh, it didn't even matter. I'm like, did they teach them to like flip the That's what I was envisioning.
Bring back the secret plans!
I'm like, did they know the alphabet? Like, how would they figure out which file?
I now I'm picturing a crow with little glasses on.
Well, I mean, carrier pigeons, right? They would do, but
Yeah.
so and he also trained dolphins to disable submarines. They would strap a pack of ball bearings to their beak, and they knew the sound of the enemy submarine engines, and they would find the enemy submarines, go into the intake, break their beak on it, and the ball bearings would go inside of into the water intake into the submarine and jam the engine and disable the submarine on the floor of the sea.
Wow. Now, before we give dolphins an entirely bad rap, there are places
I thought
in
I was
Hawaii.
building that dolphin up pretty good.
You were, but there are places in Hawaii. I don't know if they let people do it anymore, but like a dolphin-assisted birth. You used to be able to go and swim in the water, and a dolphin
I'm
would help you
picturing this
with your
like
birth.
dolphin in his little midwife outfit.
Yeah.
Little
Well,
mask.
listen, I gave birth in water, not dolphin-assisted.
Ma'am, does it hurt?
there's good dolphins and bad dolphins, just like people, right?
Right.
Yeah. Apparently.
So we stay away from dolphins named by Jack and John.
Jack and John, who need a girlfriend, seriously.
So, are you married? Do you have a concubine? Do you want one? You're disqualified from getting in with the
I
ladies.
can't swim with you.
That was not expected. And the thing was, I have like video proof. Like I have video of it, and I'm like, you know how you do the freeze frame? I'm like, oh my god, that's a dolphin. You know what? A dolphin D. I'm like, what?
That dolphin was happy to see you.
He was very happy to see me. It was not a fish in his pocket.
So, in training dolphins, so my wife went to to chicken camp. And so they had this long table, and my wife was issued a chicken. Like, here's your chicken. Oh, okay. And so for a week, she went to 2 weeks session, but for a week, your goal is to train the chicken to walk across a table and peck a certain color. So they would have 3 or 4 different colors and then 3 or 4 different shapes. And you had to train the chicken to recognize the shape or color, and you would show the shape, and then the chicken walks across the table, pecks that shape, and comes back, and then you reward the chicken.
Really?
And so with a chicken, you've seen how often like the head moves around?
Right.
That's a moment to the chicken. Right? In the chicken's world, that's a moment.
So it's like teenagers today.
Yes.
The attention span. Okay.
You would know. And so you the techniques are called operant conditioning or shaping. So the way that you train, like my wife has trained our dogs to run on the treadmill.
Oh.
So the way you do it is at first, like the dog goes in the room with the treadmill, get a treat. Next, they look at the treadmill, treat. Next is they walk over to the treadmill, treat. Next, they sniff the treadmill, treat. Next, they touch the treadmill, treat. Next, it's 1 paw on the treadmill, treat. Next, it's 2 paws. And you shape the behavior up to like 4 paws. Then it's standing on it. Then it's turn it on and off. Then it's 1 step. Then it's 2 steps. Then it's walking. Then it's moving a little faster.
Gotcha.
And then you shape the animal's behavior. And we use that technique and have to train our clients that technique of how they have trained their spouse to react to them and how to break that conditioning and how to use operant conditioning in a divorce. It's a very important strategy. But Bob Bailey is the one who ran the chicken camp that my wife studied with, and Bob Bailey is the one who was training those dolphins. And so there's also different reward levels for like the quality and value of treats.
Sure.
And so the higher the value of the activity, the higher value of the treat. You know what a treat was for a male dolphin?
A female dolphin.
Yeah.
A female dolphin. On the Submarine Disable, the treat was a female dolphin.
Yep. That's wrong on multiple levels, but I get it.
I don't think the
I was going to ask, how does that work?
But
How does that work in like with a divorce? Like if you're getting a divorce, you can't really reward somebody with that.
Here's how that comes in divorce most often.
Yeah.
It is, we have people that are like, hey, and I'll use the cliche working dad, stay at home mom or something. But it's not, you would be surprised how not often that the cliche, I mean, it's back and forth both nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily gender specific, but for ease of explanation, I'll say the working dad and the stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Mom stayed at home and she stayed at home to raise the kids. The kids are young, you know, and the dad knows he's going to pay child support, and he goes, well, how about I'll just give her all the child support up front now. Or I'm willing to pay, you know, like I'd only be required to pay $2,000 a month. I'm willing to pay $3,000, and I want to prepay it all right now. And I generally go, do not do that, because especially if it's good and they're just separating because they're no longer, you know, they've grown apart and they're still friends and they're cooperative. That's a whole different story.
Right.
But if the wife has been a nightmare, for example, and the husband's going to pay child support, or vice versa, you know. Because wives pay, you know, women pay child support to stay-at-home dads and all of that. So, especially now with COVID, there's much more co-parenting. And I'm a big fan of co-parenting,
Yes.
but and somebody will want to give actually too much, and they'll want to give it all at the beginning, and we say don't do that, because that's one big higher value reward. But if somebody comes in with a filet mignon, very high level treat for a dog, and gives it to the dog will likely remember and like that person. It goes a long way, right? But the person who has trained a dog with a piece of crappy kibble that is enough to be even the lowest level of reward, that has trained that dog 1,000 times over, will get that dog to refuse the filet mignon from anybody else. And you don't reward once because the appreciation and the usefulness of it is gone. If you're required to spend $2,000 a month in child support and you have a bad month and all you can do is $1,900, well, what a piece of crap you are as a human being and my child support that I'm entitled to. And for me as an attorney, I'm like, I hear these people that have received hundreds of thousands of dollars of child support, like, oh, 1 month was late, and they want to put them in jail for that. I'm like, you mean thank you? Do you mean thank you? I think the word you're looking for is thank you for the $150,000 worth of child support you've already got, and they fall on hard times, and you're being, problematic about that.
That's so messy. And isn't it really so much not even about the money, but about that person just feeling hurt, right? That person
absolutely.
feeling like, they've been betrayed, or they've been dismissed, like they're not valuable, like that, and it's such a reflection of them, but they can't see it because they're so hurt they can't even see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And and that's one of the things that, with our law firm, our brand of soft divorce, we have a brand of soft divorce and healthy divorce. We own softdivorce.com, we own healthydivorce.com, we also own harddivorce.com. But it's all designed to bring good people to us.
Sure.
And because when we don't get those jerks as clients, the people who want revenge, we have a very strict no revenge policy.
Right.
And
We try to stop the fighting. We don't want the fighting to continue.
we want to end the fighting, not increase it. Sometimes we
you.
have to increase it in order to end it, but that's never our first choice.
Right.
And the most important thing that those brands do is repel the type of clients that we don't want, which are jerks.
Yeah.
And people who want revenge. And we tell people that. It's like, if you want revenge and you're coming to our firm, you're not going to be happy with us. We're not going to be happy with you. And one of the two of us is going to fire each other. And it happens.
Well, and at the end of the day, we want them to be able to co-parent, get along, and that those kids can have like a healthy relationship with both parents. It's not good for children if they've got one parent over here talking negative about the other parent.
It's so toxic. I love that. I did not know that about you guys, and I think that is so beautiful and so necessary. And I mean, that's so refreshing to hear, because, obviously divorce is a really tough thing for anybody. I'm very fortunate. I'm not the child of my parents are married 55 years this year.
That's great.
I've been married to my husband for 12 years. Now, he was divorced before me, but there were no children involved. But he said, if that ever happens again, he goes, it's not going to happen because I'm not going to let it, because it was so awful. And with kids involved, he's like, we're just going to figure it out. We got to work it out.
Right. And that's the problem with a lot of marriages nowadays. Like, people are just so easy to get, like, throw in the towel, give up, and not work on the marriage. Like, marriages aren't designed to be like, I do, and it's happily ever after. And,
Disney is a liar.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as happily ever after.
There is work.
I mean, you can be
involved.
happy but it's work. You have to make intentional decisions.
So I actually wrote a book called You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy. And
How many
I
times
did your survey?
How many times have I said that?
You can be perfect, you can be happy. And the reality is, there's no such thing as perfection.
How do we get somebody on the show that I don't know that they've written a book? Like, because
we should have the graphic up.
we got Brian Cuban coming on next, and both Jennifer and I have read his books.
I'll get you guys. I should have brought copies. I wasn't thinking. I had a kid that was like, "Oh, my tummy hurts" before I left, who just wanted to stall me.
Oh yeah.
She's fine. I'm sure she's fine. She's probably eating, like pound cake and watching YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea is, spoiler alert, there's no such thing as perfect. And that doesn't mean you don't strive for excellence, but this idea of perfection, right, that we've all been introduced to from the time we were children. Look at my drawing, Mom. Oh, that's perfect. So you think you have to be perfect every time to receive that praise or feel valued. And then, the reality is, happiness, it's not a constant, right? Just like in marriage, it's not a constant. You're going to have highs and lows. It's like a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah.
You got good times, you got down times, and the only time you're in trouble is when you got that straight line, right? But happiness is a choice, and you can choose to be happy and find happiness, and it's as individual as we are. But a lot of
Absolutely.
people think they have to be happy. That's why so many people are on medication, and so many people are,
Yeah.
searching for stuff outside of themselves because they think something's wrong with them because they're not living the life that they see on social media.
Right. I
Which
was
is,
just gonna say
again,
that.
Yeah.
fake.
Social media is totally fake, and anytime that you see someone that has this perfect, wonderful life, that just means there's problems behind that life that they don't want you to know about.
I mean, if you're just looking at the happy stuff, and because they're just posting the happy stuff, or there are people that post like all the bad stuff, and they're trying to get negative
true.
attention. They're the attention
I know those
from it, and
people.
all. Either way, it's usually not particularly a good thing.
They want attention, and I get it. And it's it's supposed to be for us to be connected to one another. Yet, like we feel more disconnected than ever. And of course, COVID didn't help that. And human beings need to be in each other's space.
I think the reason why we have this podcast is just so that people will come talk to me in person.
and not get a divorce. Who are
Preferably,
going through
yeah.
a divorce.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have clients that, and the initial consultations that I have with clients are usually when I talk to them the most, because I try and do as many of the initial consultations as possible,
Sure.
because that's really where I help people. I change their paradigm and I analyze their situation, and that's really the moment that they've made that decision to do it and get it done in a healthy way. The next part really is easy.
Sure.
I keep talking about the Dunning-Kruger Effect. You know what that is?
Remind me.
Okay, so Dunning and Kruger are two scientists, and they
Yes.
studied people's self-assessment of their own skills.
Okay.
And what's usually referred to as the effect is the top and the bottom. So people that are magnificently brilliant at
Right.
something, that really actually have the skills and the best of the best, usually are very humble about it, and they
Yes.
discount their
Yes.
value because they think
Yes.
it's so easy for them, it must be easy for everybody.
Right.
You know,
have that.
virtuistic
Yeah.
musicians, top comedians, top doctors, top lawyers, and things. And I exhibit a lot of that because I think that the actual logistical practice of law is so fundamentally, you've got to be kidding how easy it is,
Right.
because that's how easy it is for
you
me.
get it. You just get it.
And
Right.
and I hear like, and I see our clients like stress out about stuff, and I'm just like, just relax, like trust me. Like your worry about this is 99.999% of what your problem is.
Yep.
And the actual, like, you know, even the things they're worrying about, like if it comes out this, it's still fine because of 1,000 things that I can't
Right,
even explain to you. And if it
right.
comes out the other side of what you're worried about, it's still fine because it's this. Like both paths lead to healthy at the end. Just relax. And then the other end of Dunning-Kruger is American Idol. Like the people that are, and Dunning-Kruger is American Idol, the best of the best, or like the worst of the worst.
Right.
Like people that are convinced that they're magnificent and are horrible. They're like the ones that get the comments of,
Sound like dying cats.
yes, right? They're like, have you ever recorded yourself and listened back to it? Like, you should.
You should.
Because you shouldn't be here.
That's so funny. But don't you feel like we're like right now? There's a generation of people like that.
There is a
have come up?
generation of people like that.
Because you know when you were saying that and you were describing Dunning-Kruger, and yes, I've heard it. I just needed it like jogged, but it's like people who think that they're really smart. The smartest people
yeah.
know how much they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they're constantly like
Yeah.
being coached. They're reading. They're learning. They're. You know,
I found that people that are I'm pretty smart, but it's not my badge. Like it's not my identity.
Right.
And a lot of times I forget how smart that I am, and that I think really smart people tend to do that because I look at and I also have. I value every person as the same.
Yeah.
Like no one's more now. People have very different economic values in the marketplace. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
But their value as a person, as a human
Yeah.
being, as a child of God, it's
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at everybody. And I try and, you know, I learned long ago no matter how successful or what level that I get to, that, you know, I am just as comfortable with somebody who's the janitor. In fact, I tend to respect a janitor as much or more than, you know, somebody I respect for anything else, because they are, I mean,
doing
that's
the grunt work. They're doing the hard work.
they're doing the
Right.
work that without them, no one else would be able to do
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate the work that everybody does if they're working. You know, what I don't like is people who cheat, lie, and steal. But anybody who's honestly working and
Or people who think they're entitled to things.
Yeah.
It's like, I cannot handle sense of entitlement.
So back to my entitlement thing was people who are entitled to receive child support, and I go, look, if you're willing to pay $3,000, I only want to obligate you to pay the $2,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then if you give them $1,000 a month thereafter, then you'll get maybe appreciation for the extra $1,000. And you do that over and over and over again. How are they going to tell your kids what a dirtbag you are?
Right.
And why? And
Right.
it affects their subconscious, because you're not going to get any appreciation for something that they're entitled to, because that's what the judge or the paperwork, that's what they got.
Right.
Even if you agreed to it and there was no judge, it was part of the agreement. That's what you got from your negotiating, or that's what your lawyer got you.
Right.
It's like, wait, no. That's what they're giving you. They're still giving it to you if you're getting something, out of the other side. And we try and engender at least some kind of appreciation and value for it. And I'm like, look, don't necessarily give it all up front. And don't give it out of obligation. Give it out of generosity, because then you'll get the appreciation for the generosity. And it's those little things that it's the wisdom of that in knowing how to do things.
That is so applicable to so many things in life, right? It's like, I have a speaking business. I go in, I deliver programming, whether it's a keynote or a workshop. I'm getting ready to start doing retreats, and you want people to feel like they're valued, right?
Yes.
So that they add value to the relationship. And so you don't give everything at once, because people can't handle it. Like, their heads would explode.
Yeah. Right.
So, but you also don't hold back. And like you said, I love that word generous, right? Generous and grace. Those are my two favorite G words. And having those things with other people, like you said, it changes the paradigm, it changes the dynamic, it changes the narrative.
Yep.
Well, I think people going into a job and they work hard and they show their dedication, if you want to grow in a position, like, let your boss know, like, these are my goals in life. I want to do X, Y, and Z. If you start off as a dishwasher, that's fine, but be the best dishwasher you possibly can be, so you can become the server you want to be, or something
Jennifer
else.
used to run a
Yes,
restaurant.
I used to run.
All of her analogies are restaurant
Everybody,
based.
I think everybody should work in some sort of service capacity. Like, I worked in a
She's
restaurant.
our people.
I was a host. I was a hostess at do you remember Tia's?
Yes.
Mexican
Tia's
restaurant. And
Tex-Mex.
they're gone.
Where the one on Spring Valley?
Well, there was one it was on Central.
On Central.
Between 15th and
Yeah.
Parker. So I was a hostess there.
You were like, you graduated like within a year of me, right?
I think so.
When did you graduate?
92.
I graduated in 92. Yeah.
Are you serious?
We're the same year.
That's so funny.
So when did you work at Tia's?
I worked there when I was a senior in high school. I think.
You know what I hope is when you get to heaven, that God has like, all right, here's the room where you can go watch all the videos of where you, and you go back and like, all right, let's go back and see where Karith was at Tia's, and I think Google, like in 100 years, I bet Google has this to know, like, here's everywhere you've ever been.
Probably.
And knowing, like, you can ask Google, or it'll be like, Google, it'll be implanted in your brain maybe. I'll never do that, by the way. But when did Karith wait on Dana? Oh, 1992. Right? She was right there. Yeah.
Well, so that was like one of my first jobs, second job, because I worked at Kroger and I got in the meat department. I got fired. No, I was in the salad bar and I got fired for flirting with the guy in the meat department. Make your own innuendos. And then I worked at Tia's and I had like probably one of my most embarrassing moments, because it was a busy restaurant because it was so good.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to start a wait list. And so I'm taking people's names down, like, Johnson, party of 3, Foster, party of, 2. And this family came in, they're like, Cox, party of 5. And I'm writing the name down and I wrote COC. And he's like, it's with an X. I'm like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I was mortified.
We have a table ready for 5 Cox. Are there any Cox in the house?
It was horrible.
I can't find the Cox. I guess we'll go to the next one. Johnson?
Yeah, because back then you had to get
What are you doing looking for the Cox? For the Johnsons. Where are the Cox? Who can eat at a time like this? We need a search party or 5 for the Cox.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good times.
Anybody catch the Mitch Hedberg? Did you get? That's a Mitch Hedberg. Is it?
I love Mitch. Mitch Hedberg.
Hedberg.
Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, that's a Mitch joke.
One of my best friends used to date Doug Stanhope, and so she was close with Mitch as well. That was a really tragic story.
Absolutely.
There's so many
that guy was
comics who
hilarious.
have tragic stories like that, but he kicked it. He kicked it, and the girl he was with, like,
I love his escalator joke.
oh my god.
You know that one? Escalator temporarily stairs. Sorry for the convenience.
By the way, hands down, his best joke is when he gets donuts and they're like, "Do you want a receipt?" And he's like, "Why would I need a receipt for 2 donuts? I'm just gonna eat them."
I don't think there's ever an occasion where I need to prove that I bought a donut. I think we can keep pen and paper out of this.
He was brilliant. He was so
He
funny.
was.
He was so funny. My
You know,
kids. Go ahead.
if you actually watched him, there's a couple of sets that he performed high and he wasn't as good. He performed his set, which his persona was that he was really, really high during his sets. But he only actually did good sets when he was sober, like faking it. Because there was one, like his timing was way off when he was actually high.
Mm-hmm. I never drink before I perform. And I'm not a big drinker. Like, I'll have a glass of red wine here and there, or a margarita, or a daiquiri. But I'm a Texas
Or some
girl.
crack.
I like I smoke. No.
You know, I never smoked marijuana. There's caffeine, and the hardest drug I ever did was LSD. No, I'm just kidding. That's a Norm Macdonald joke.
Oh.
He goes, yeah, and like that's the thing is like when they, they tell you about acid, like you can take acid now, and then in 15 or 20 years you can have a flashback, and I always thought that was a good value for my money. So like for $5, what you're telling me is I can get high now, and in 15 or 20 years I get high again for free? He goes, but ladies and gentlemen, the problem is it's been 15 years, it's been 20 years, it's been 25 years, and you know what? No flashback. It's just another one of those tricks by the big acid companies to con you out of $5.
Rest in peace, Norm.
Yes.
He did that one on Letterman's final. He was the final comedian.
Was he really?
On Letterman, and he did part of that show. And he comes out, and Oprah was earlier, and he goes, so the show. He walks out, and he goes, so I'm not bragging or anything, but me and Oprah are making the same money tonight. and I don't know. The show's taking an interesting turn. Oprah and Dave talking about marijuana, and he goes, I don't know, marijuana, the hardest drug I ever did was LSD. He goes into that. That was the best set that I think ever seen any comedian do. It was the pinnacle of comedy. And I think, have you ever seen him, like, I think it's like May 19th, 1998 or something like that.
I don't remember any dates
on
like
Conan.
that.
I looked it up because I wanted to know this date,
Right.
to know the, and it's not the right date, but it's close. But Courtney Thorne-Smith was a guest on Conan's show.
You're a savant.
Norm, I'm on Norm. I am.
Okay.
Because Norm was my favorite comic, which is why he recently passed away. I have a long list
Because he was your favorite comic.
of my favorite comics dying, and I think it starts with Sam Kinison.
Oh yeah, Sam was great.
Sam died, and then Chris Farley died.
Yeah.
And then Phil Hartman was up there. He wasn't one of my favorites, but he was
so funny.
And then Robin Williams was one of my favorites, died. And then
and this is where Karith decides to leave the podcast.
Yeah, and
you
I will
cannot
not be
my
your
favorite.
Trust me, I'm
Like,
off that list now.
Don't get that good. Just don't. And then I said Brad Upton. You know who Brad is?
Yeah.
I go, Brad, you're in contention to maybe be my favorite comic. And then I realized, wait, who's the little wee man guy? You know the guy, not wee man, but
Oh, you're talking about Brad Williams.
Brad Williams. Yeah,
I love Brad Williams.
And I confused Brad Upton for Brad Williams when I was messaging him. And Brad Upton goes, thank you. Brad Upton just had a heart attack, had to cancel some shows, and
No.
like, yes,
Oh no.
yes.
No.
Being my favorite comedian is a kiss of death.
That's like, okay.
Bill Burr better watch his ass.
No. So my brother, Bill Burr is a friend.
Is he?
Yeah. I hope nothing happens to him. He's amazing and so
He is.
funny. He's
I
so
love
funny.
Bill Burr.
He's so funny. And so he and my brother would hang out. When my brother would come into town, they'd go out and do. My brother never tells. My brother tight lips. He does not tell anything. It's just like, yeah, we're boys. We hang out when he would come to New York, my brother. But you reminded me, like you said, favorite comedian. Like always something bad happens to him. So my husband's like, I can't leave you because all of my exes, they either die or move to Atlanta. I don't know why. And I don't know if that's an equivalent, but
How bad is Atlanta?
We went there not too long
I know.
ago. It's pretty nice.
it's a nice town.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's really weird. And it's random things. Like I'm not the Black Widow, like my husband claims I am. I have had nothing to do with it. Like it was all very random. I mean, natural. Well, not natural, bunny ears, but natural. I forgot this is video recorded too. Like natural, like in their sleep, like kind of stuff. Like really random. Like what?
So you like poison?
No, I need a lawyer. Go good. I'm sitting with one.
Problem is, I think we've waived privilege by being on the show.
No, I wasn't with them at the time, but after we broke up, they would literally, I've had a couple that passed away within a couple weeks or months.
Oh wow.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So your exes all pass away.
Yes.
Well, I'm never dating you.
Well, I don't think your wife would approve anyway, and my husband would probably have
something
some
happens
issue.
to her. Although
If she can train chickens, she can figure out.
Yeah, right?
I know she's got you in
she
line.
has me very well trained. I'm a catch now. We have a very healthy marriage, and that's something that we will talk about in the next episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast. So thank you for watching.
Give us a thumbs up.
Subscribe, comment. Please tell us. Tell us how you like Karith, who is you're our first guest that we didn't know well. Like you're our first guest of not, because we've had internal guests and friends that have been on the podcast, and we really appreciate you're now a friend.
And follow Karith Foster.
Follow Karith and buy her book.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the name of your book?
You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy. It's on Amazon, but if you want a signed copy, you can get it from karith.com. Karith.
Are you available on Amazon too?
What, the book?
Yes.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon
Well, go to
as
her
well.
website. Do you make more money on your website than on Amazon?
On my website.
All
Yeah.
right, so we'll
You know
buy
what
it on your
Amazon
website.
does.
Yeah.
But they'll also get a signed copy.
Nice. Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
So do you so if you like and comment in our comments, then we'll do a 1 week for anybody who likes and comments, and we'll do a signed book, and we'll have Karith sign it, and Jennifer and I will sign one too, and we will give it away free on the show if you like and comment. I'll buy the book too, so you don't have to donate it. I will buy the book.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because we like to support you. You need to get something for the podcast. And since you drink wine, I'm going to pull a bottle of wine. I quit drinking in September.
Okay.
And we can talk about that on the next episode.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next show.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.